Canadian parents and young adults from everywhere. Have you noticed the change? The change that is outside our windows, the change that is inside your homes, the change that is in our stores, the change that is our marketing, the change that is our children's lives? Because I have. I have lived in that change, or the transitional period. I have lived in that low income neighborhood, with that low income stereotype, and with that low income look that comes along with it. I am fortunate to have a father as motivated as he was. But none of this should matter. As a child, you mostly remember the bad things. Some good, but mostly bad. I had seen a lot in my time as a child. I had to learn how to survive with what I had. It was not street begging, but it was very low income, for sure. I came into the world without a care in one. But by the time I was 6 years old, I was very capable of forming my own decisions and opinions on life and living. I realized that people do not change, just their attitudes, and that to survive, you would have to appease. When my father was mad, I found that with proper care to my attitude, I would not anger him further. Back then, I was required to do many tasks or chores, some of which were tedious for a 6-year-old, but hey, that's life. My mother was from Brazil, and she would always jokingly say, back when I was trying to avoid doing chores, which was rare at the time, that when she was young, she'd have to bake bread for her family and feed the animals at my age, on top of everything I did. The most important thing for a parent is the responsibility factor that the parent applies to the child. There's barely any time for us to stand by and witness the devastation of the digital age to our children. I see parents regularly have issues with electronics in the household, but rarely do parents act on these threats. I feel as though the parents nowadays have gone soft upon their children, acting more as friends than teachers. The importance of strict parents is the same importance that helps us maintain a job. It's responsibility. Responsibility. This is what teaches us to prioritize and figure out what is right and wrong. It improves the moral compass and helps us invoke a sense of justice that we can conform to. Without this sense of duty and meaning, we can become lost. Me and my sisters have lived in different scenarios, almost different lives. I saw mostly struggle and pain that my father felt, but I always knew that the comfort of my mother would keep him going straight. My middle sister, Maya, knew only the growing life. When my father had started to accumulate wealth, she had not truly seen what I saw and knew of. But the difference between us was that she knew that where we started was not the place we would end off. My youngest sister, Juliana, never knew of the trials and tribulations my father faced at all. She only knew of the success of my father. The care and parenting also decreased with each child as my father became busier and more productive. As a result, my mother was not as strict or imposing as my father was. My middle sister, Maya, grew up fairly responsible, though that responsibility slowly became laziness in the household. For the youngest, Juliana, she grew into the state of right, believing everything was a guarantee. I was the exact opposite. I knew nothing as a guarantee, and would believe anything to be hard work and labor, as I knew that when my father worked, it would provide me with one used toy a month from Once Upon a Child. I knew he hated work, but he had to do it, in love of me. I knew that when he got mad, it was not him, but his attitude. The only guarantee I had as a child was my parents' love. That is why, in the modern society, where the children don't see their parents because of the electronics and other such games, they lose the guarantee of love and become ungrateful. They believe that all is given, and their birth was right enough for a job. They have not learned the responsibility, and that nothing in life is a guarantee other than their parents' love. This is why I yearn to all the parents of the world. Be stricter on your children, and do not let the child's fortune of birth be their downfall. Instead of being their child's friend, be their teacher. Teach them the ways of the world and how they can see it differently. Teach them of responsibility and prosper and the failures. Something important to remember is this. Your failure is beneficial to you because it can teach you a mistake and enable you to never do it again. But for your child, if taught correctly, can prevent them completely from ever making that very same mistake. You parents are the teachers of goodwill and fortune, and the exemplar like Christ on the cross. Your sins can show the way for your children. Be not just the friend, but more so the teacher.